Hello, hello, I'm Kads, and welcome back to the free-to-play review. So today's topic is going to be the latest iteration of the Heroes Path, specifically the Pirates Path R. And we're going to be talking about this combination event between the lovely champion training, which is the most accessible form of gathering points for such paths, and of course, the typical weekend summon rush. Now, first things first, it's worth pointing out that if you do log in on one of their preferred platforms, i.e. Player in Play or the equivalents on PC, then you get a free 4,500 points towards this, which is effectively one sacred shard's worth of points. So that is definitely a bonus. And then of course, the other thing I like to look for when we're starting a path is whether or not we get a key off rip, which in this case, that is the case. So diving into the path itself, you can see you kind of have the leftward path and the rightward path that merge in the middle and then separate once again. And of course, the main appeal, or one of the main appeals of this event, are the Titan event points. And you can see here there are 5 nodes of 80, i.e. 400 total points, which you may or not need all of depending upon your strategy and what you're going for, what you're pursuing in the victorious Titan event. And then of course the potentially more desirable results of the champion, the guaranteed champion Edward Kenway from Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and or his perfect soul here. Unfortunately, they're kind of on opposite sides and the keys separate them. So the weird thing here is that the keys, the extra keys, are very far down at the bottom. So you basically have to go through either the center path through the Titan event points, the last node of Titan event points to get access to the keys, or you have to go for the champion and or the soul to get an extra key. Now, as per usual, I've identified a handful of paths that are probably the most desirable for people to pursue, and we'll break down each of those respectively. Interestingly enough, there is no mythical tome in the entire path, but there is the standard legendary tome here, kind of in the center path. So if you come down either the left-hand or the right-hand side, you make your way through more of the central path because it's slightly cheaper, but of course you could go for the energy or the chaos, or if you so choose, use your free key and then come down the center path once again, or I guess the left path in this case. Then you can claim the legendary tome for a grand total of 27,000 points. But of course, along the way, that will also give you 160 of the Titan event points as a kind of bonus for just going for that goal. If you wanted to go for all of the Titan event points up for grabs, you could also do that with just the single free key. So you just have to come down the left hand and the right hand side, and then the respective left and right hand sides of each of the sides, plus the center path through the free key. And that would be a grand total of 48,000 points to get all 400 of the Titan event points. If you wanted to laser focus on the 5-star soul, i.e. you've already pulled Edward, therefore you don't need a second copy of him, then you can just focus on the right side path, the right hand path, come down this side because it's cheaper, come through here through the cheaper side, and then you unlock the 5-star soul for 67,000 points total, but along the way you'd also get a free 80 Titan event points. And then if you mirror that onto the left side and do the exact same thing, it'd be 10,000 points more just to get the champion himself, so 77,000 points. Again, you'd still get a free 80 Titan event points along that path as well. Anything beyond that is where things start to get a little bit more interesting, because you're basically going to need 2 of the keys instead of just using the 1 free key. So for example, if you wanted to go for all the Titan event points plus the guaranteed champion, you basically do the entirety of the Titan path that we talked about earlier, come down through the center, you go through the legendary tome or the basalt, doesn't really matter, through the avatar, claim one of the keys, and then you can come back here to this path that you already unlocked, go through the, I guess, the chaos orb because it's cheaper, and then you'd claim the legendary champion for a grand total of 128,000 points. But you'd also get, of course, all the Titan event points, 400 along the way. Alternatively, you could do the exact same thing by collecting all of these points, coming down here through the champion first, get the relic fragments, get then the extra key, and then come back up here to the common row, and then get the last of the Titan event points. That would still yield you the champion plus all 400 of the Titan event points, but you'd sacrifice getting the legendary tome and or the basalt for getting the relic fragments, and that would be slightly more expensive at 130,000 points in total. And lastly, if you wanted the champion and the soul because you don't have either of those, you'd basically do what we talked about to get the champion path. You'd come down through the fragments, relic fragments once again, get the extra key, and then you'd come back up here to the common row, go down the right hand side, and then claim the soul for a grand total of 149,000 points. And then doing so would yield you 80 Titan event points along the way. Now, as always, that was a ton of numbers that I just threw out at you, so let's hop into the spreadsheet, which will be linked in the description box down below if you'd like to follow in more detail. And specifically, we are in the Heroes Path Calculator tab, and hopefully this will be a little bit more digestible form of looking at these same values. So you can see here on the right-hand side that we have all of those different paths that we talked about: legendary tome, the Titan, full Titan event, the champion, the soul, and the combinations thereafter. And I think that everyone's first instinct is to instantly jump down and look at how many shards it's going to cost for each of these paths, but I do want want to remind you that this is also champion training. So you do get a lot of credit for champion training. This is a 4-day path, meaning that you have an ample amount of time to do the thing that everyone has access to, because everyone can run the campaign. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with the spreadsheet, what this table helps you identify is the amount of points you're going to get for crafting each tier of chicken. So the bottom row here per capita is just, this is how many points you'd get for making a 2-star chicken, 3-star chicken, 4-star chicken, 5-star chicken, and or a 6-star champion. And then for the 4-star and above, it's accounting for the fact that you're probably going to put 3 to 4 brews into each of those chickens to get some extra points before you feed them. And it's assuming that the 6-star champion that you would make, you're leveling up to around level 52, which is where you would want to stop if you want to get the rest of the levels through masteries for champions you want to master. The upper row, the cumulative, just means we're accounting for the fact that you need multiple copies of each tier of chicken to upgrade and craft the next level of chicken, and so that's just accounting for the fact of that compounding effect. And the main takeaway here, for example, is that if you wanted to just min-max and get yourself one legendary tome, you'd basically have to make one 6-star champion from scratch, and then maybe one 5-star chicken afterward over the course of 4 days, which is totally reasonable. And then you can get yourself a air quotes free legendary tome just by champion trading alone without having to pull any shards whatsoever. But of course, if you're impatient and or you just want to pull some shards early, you can instead opt for, say, pull 6 sacreds or the equivalent in terms of other shards, and then you could also get that legendary tome. Now, some other interesting tidbits: if you wanted to get all the Titan event points, again, exclusively through shards, not accounting for champion training, that would be 11 sacreds worth, which is fairly expensive, but not that much different from, say, like the epic in a fusion summon rush, for example. The champion itself is around 18 sacreds, which is on the fairly cheap side, comparatively speaking. I think Leonardo was somewhere around like 22, 23 sacreds. Without much of an option for, or I think that one was Dungeon Diver. So it was a little bit less friendly to get points through that mechanism. If you wanted to go for the champion soul, assuming you already have the champion, 15 sacreds worth. If you want the champion and the soul, a whopping 34 sacreds. And then if you want the champion and all of the Titan event points, it'd be 29 sacreds. Again, all of these values are assuming that you do absolutely no champion training whatsoever, which I definitely do not recommend. And I guess that is a perfect segue to what I do recommend, which is, of course, as usual, do as much champion training as you possibly can before you pull your shards to minimize the amount of shards you have to pull overall. That will decrease all of these values no matter what shard type you pull, and that's just a better strategy overall in terms of min-maxing. But of course, if people want to save time and not have to run campaign a bunch, you can opt to trade some of that champion training for the equivalent of whatever shard type you're interested in pulling. In terms of my specific plan, that is going to be my goal. Of course, I'm going to be focused on champion training over the next 4 days, and then I'll finish it out with predominantly sacreds in my case. That's just kind of the best bang for my buck in terms of relative mercy, and then just use of my shard types. I thought about pulling some amount of ancients, but it's not, even like 100 ancients is not going to make that much of a dent relative to the amount of sacreds that we're going to have to pull anyways. But I'll have to see at the end of the 4 days how much credit I have from champion training. And my goal specifically is the champion, because I do want to collect or finish my collection of all of the assassins, which all I need is Edward. So I'm happy that he's up for guaranteed. And then I do want to complete the Titan event as I usually do. So I do need all 400 of the Titan event points. At least that was my plan going in to this Titan event. Now, popping back into the game really quickly, I do think that I'll probably go for the slightly more expensive option of going through the relic fragments after getting the champion and then coming back up and getting the Titan event points, because in my particular situation, I have a ton of legendary tomes. I don't really need them. The 4-star basalt could be useful. The avatar could be cool as well, but I'd rather the chance to, I guess maybe the last chance to get, a mythical relic from either the event or just from the generic category. So to me, that feels a little bit more worth it, since I already have to be down in this realm either way. And in terms of my personal progress, you can see there it's only day 1, but I've managed to accrue just over 20,000 points. So we are well on our way. And of course, this is including the free 4,500 that we already got. So effectively, I've earned 15,000-ish points, give or take. But yeah, so 3+ more days to go before I have to worry about pulling some sacreds. So I would say ideally we can get that sacred amount from like the 29 down to 20, maybe somewhere around there. That would kind of be nice. Pretty much bring it in line with going for the champion in and of itself. But again, we'll kind of play that by ear, exactly where things end up. But for me, it feels worth it. Even though I personally have no intention of using Edward myself, I did mention that for many, many months now that I do want to have all the assassins on my account. I definitely got lucky when it comes to, in terms of going for Bayek and getting him from my void pulls. And so that definitely bolstered me in terms of pursuing all of the champions. I guess selfishly, I'll point out that I would long-term like to get the Master Assassin badge from the challenges here. So I'm 4 out of 6, so I have 4 of the assassins, Edward being the last one that I would need. And also there is, I think, an avatar frame that you get, the Golden Assassin's Creed one, if you have all 5 assassins by the time this event ends. So that is the ultimate goal. But if I happen to pull a Pontiff Augustin sometime in the future, because he is going to be forever in the void pool, then I could also get the badge. So either way, those are kind of both soft goals on my account. But anyways, enough about me. Let me know in the comment section down below what your plan is relative to the Pirates Path. Are you going for the Titan event points? Are you going for the champion? Do you already have the champion? You're going for the soul? You're going for one of the combinations thereof? Let me know all of that and more in the comment section down below. Once again, the spreadsheet that we looked at will be linked in the description box down below if you'd like to take a deeper dive into some of the numbers behind all of the values we spoke about today. And as always, if you did find this video helpful, then be sure to hit that like button down below. It really does help out the channel. And feel free to hit the subscribe button down below as well, if and only if you're enjoying the content overall on this channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching and have a good one.